Hi, my name is Joe Holland. I'm the Youth Services Coordinator for the Watervliet Civic Center.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Colonel Lee Schiller of the Watervliet Arsenal.
Hi, this is Craig Apple, your Albany County Sheriff.
Hello, I'm Chief Collin with the Watervliet Fire Department.
Hi, this is Casey Tomasian with my father, Jim Tomasian.
Hello, I'm Mark Spain. I'm the Chief of Police of the Watervliet Police Department.
You're watching WVLT Channel 17, an award-winning local station. Hello, everyone. I'm Mary Jo Hughes. Memorial Day is a solemn day of remembrance for everyone who has died serving in the American Armed Forces. The holiday, originally known as Decoration Day, started in 1868 after the Civil War to honor the Union and Confederate dead. Today is the time for Americans to reconnect with their history and their core values by honoring those who gave their lives for the ideals we all cherish. Now, let's join the 2018 Watervliet Memorial Day Parade.
Coach K's here. Coach K, man.
Good morning, and welcome to the 2018 Watervliet Memorial Day Parade. Kicking off the parade, the Watervliet Police Department.
Yeah, back to Florida.
Police Chief Spain. The Mayor Manning, County Clerk Bruce Hindley, Councilman Patricelli, City Court Judges Reinford and Lamb, Senator Taco.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Charlie Diamond. I would like to start by thanking the VFW Post 729 and the City of Watervliet for inviting me to be Master of Ceremonies for today's program. The parade which you participated or watched and this solemn ceremony are dedicated to those who have served, those currently serving, and especially those who made the supreme sacrifice for our freedom. Please keep them in your thoughts and daily reflection. We will begin the program with the Pledge of Allegiance. Please join Community 161, Cohoes, Watervliet, and Girl Scout Troop as they recite the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The Americans' Creed, or National Creed, was written in 1917 by William Tyler Page. Patrick Ethier, representing the Watervliet High School Band, will recite the Americans' Creed.
I believe in the United States of America as a government of the people, by the people, for the people, whose just powers are derived from the consent of the governed, a democracy in the republic, a sovereign nation of many sovereign states, a perfect union, one and inseparable, established upon those principles of freedom, equality, justice, and humanity for which American patriots sacrificed their lives and fortunes. I therefore believe it is my duty to my country to love it, to support its Constitution, to obey its laws, to respect its flag, and to defend it against all enemies.
Thank you very much, Patrick. And now, I invite Madeline Wells, Watervliet Youth Football Cheerleader, to lead us in our national anthem.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light one so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last evening, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. In the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
Madeline, great job. Put us in for next year. The invocation will be provided by Reverend Inho-Soo.
Would you join me in this prayer? Lord Jesus Christ, we remember your words at the communion table. Do this in remembrance of me. Today we gather to remember those that are and have walked the same path of sacrifice. Lord, you have said, greater love has no one than this, that someone laid down his life for his friends. We thank you for our friends. We celebrate men and women and their families who have and are serving this country in the armed forces. May our time together be a celebration of neighborly love. And as the psalmist sings, let the words of our mouth and the meditation of our hearts be pleasing in your sight, O Lord, my rock and my redeemer. May our hearts be refreshed with gratitude today, for many have sacrificed so that multitudes have the opportunity to flourish. I pray in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Reverend Sue, for your thoughtful reflection. Before I introduce Mayor Manning, I would like to recognize today's Grand Marshals. Joe Michasiow served in the Marine Corps, stationed in Camp Lejeune, Little Creek, Virginia, Okinawa, and South Vietnam. He enlisted in 1960 and served until 1964, when he was honorably discharged with the rank of Lance Corporal. Joe is a former Watervliet police officer who retired after 23 years of dedicated service from the department. He is joined by his daughter Casey and grandson Joey and many other family members. Susan Fercucci Rossetti, our co-Grand Marshal, Deputy Grand Marshal, if you will, is a lifelong resident of Watervliet. Mrs. Rossetti enlisted in the military service in 1943, serving the Army Air Corps until 1946. During her service, she was stationed in Chandler, Arizona as the rank of sergeant. Her LOS was mimeograph operator, and she received and transferred critical operation that was sent through the message center. Mrs. Rossetti is joined this morning by her many nieces and nephews, to whom she is like a second mother. Please recognize Joe Michasiow and Susan Rossetti, our 2018 Grand Marshals. And now the 14th Mayor of the City of Watervliet, Mike Manning, will continue the tradition and introduce dignitaries who are present and provide the opening address. I present Navy veteran and Watervliet's pride, Mayor Mike Manning.
Thanks, Charlie, and welcome everyone here today. I don't know if it's the best weather for getting out and having a picnic later, but it was great for marching. I think everyone up here will agree, especially Jim Verhagen and his crew in those, whatever those coats are made out of they wear. Pretty heavy. But thank you all for coming to this ceremony. If you watched the parade, thank you for that. And for that, we have to thank everyone who worked all week or last weeks to get the park ready, get the parade route ready. The team here led by Bob Loya and Jeremy Smith, our general manager. I think they did a terrific job. The park looks great as usual. How about a round of applause for them? We've only mentioned two, but there's a whole cast standing behind them and helping them get that ready. All the folks that participated in the parade, especially welcoming the Watervliet Arsenal, who rejoined us a couple years back and have made an effort to stay with us and stay in the parade every year. Our friends from Strex leading our VFW Corps every year, thank you very much. Anyone else who was in the parade, taking time out of your holiday weekend to come and help us celebrate and memorialize here. I'm going to cut it short, and we're going to insert and have our congressman who was able to stay this year, usually he's running to another event. Our Assemblyman John McDonald was here as well. He wishes everyone a safe and happy holiday, and he's off to another event. So I'll introduce who's up here standing with us today. My left, your right, our Police Chief Mark Spain. Next to him, our Fire Chief Ron Conlon. City Court Judge and soon-to-be grandfather Tom Land. I know he's not thinking about that right now while he's sitting there. City Court Judge Sue Reinford-Guzaria. Raleigh County Clerk, the Watervliet's own Bruce Hidley. Congressman Congressman Paul Tonko, who we'll hear from shortly. Councilman Frank McGrowdy. Councilman Charles Patricelli. Switching to my right and your left. Maybe you can't see him behind me. Charlie Diamond, our MC. Thank you to Charlie for doing that every year. Does a great job keeping us on track here. Colonel Morrow, Commander of the Arsenal. We'd also like to wish Colonel Morrow well. Thank you for joining our community briefly. Colonel's on his way to his next assignment later in the summer here, so we wish you well, Colonel. Our co-Grand Marshals, the Deputy Grand Marshals, Joe Michasiow, Susan Rossetti. Father Rutherford, sorry. Father Wendell. Reverend Sue, who we heard from earlier. And our commander of VFW, I made it all the way to the end, blanking on his name. Tom Bello! Sorry, Tom. I don't know if you saw in the parade, but Tom was really setting the pace for the VFW group there. He's way out in front of them. Thanks to all these folks for joining us. Thanks to all you for coming. I'm going to steal a little tip here that Charlie does. I have a quote here from President Truman in his first address to Congress. It's now printed on the World War II memorial. Kind of sums up what we're supposed to be doing today. Our debt to the heroic men and valiant women in the service of our country can never be repaid. They have earned our undying gratitude. America will never forget their sacrifices. Think about that. Have a great end to your Memorial Day weekend, and I'm going to bring up Congressman Paul Tonko to say a few words.
Thank you, Mayor. It's an honor to join with each and every one of you today as we draw together as a people to reflect upon the greatness of those who have served or are serving this nation. And so it's a proud moment to join with the Reverend clergy, certainly with our very distinguished veterans of various vintages of our history, certainly with the active military and with Colonel Morrow. And thank you for your service, Colonel. With the elected and appointed officials gathered here, all of the students, which is a great thing to witness, and in a special way, Grand Marshal Joe and Deputy Marshal Grand Marshal Susan. It doesn't get better than this. A slice of Americana. Congratulations, Watervliet, on a tremendous salute this Memorial Day to the veterans who have served us and those especially who have offered their supreme sacrifice so that we could live free. An important part of their contribution to this great nation. We're surrounded in this tremendously sensitive, devoted, and dedicated park of names that have served us from Watervliet. A powerful statement made by the wall that surrounds the perimeters of this park. It reminds us in very thoughtful measure that from neighborhoods and small towns and villages and cities of all sizes emerged sons and daughters who saw the cause of protecting this nation and promoting her values to freedom-loving people around the world was a cause greater than themselves, but one worth donating their time, their energy, their commitment, their courage, and their bravery, and their undeniable sense of patriotism so that we can be a people that lives free. That is an awesome contribution, one that is priceless in nature. And what we understand is that these veterans left the comforts of home and the familiarity of hometown to be able to go and defend us, oftentimes on the battlefield, to allow people to know that we believe deeply in our democracy, in our opportunities, and our freedoms. And so we understand they penned in their individual and collective right a love story of no other, that can be unmatched by any other nation. A love story that said that this nation holds its forces as a beacon of hope to freedom-loving people around the world. We're reminded by President Lincoln as he brought a people together after the Battle of Gettysburg at that Gettysburg site. He was faced with the daunting challenge to heal a nation. And he indicated that it is right that we should mourn the dead, that we should commemorate their sacrifice. But also, we need from these honored dead to take an increased devotion that will respond to the cause to which they gave their last full measure of devotion. President Lincoln reminded us that the greatest tribute we can make to our veterans is to embrace the opportunities and freedoms for which they fought and respond to those freedoms in a very loving and compassionate way. It's our responsibility to grow a better community, a better state, a better nation, a stronger world, based on the love poured forth by this nation's veterans. God bless our veterans. God bless America. Watervliet, what a proud moment to join with you. A slice of Americana that we all can reflect upon and say thankful, grateful acknowledgement for being the community you are. Enjoy the day, everybody, and thank you for being this solemn moment of reflection.
Thank you, Congressman. Perfectly stated. Thank you. It's great to think we can make it here today. Today's memorial address will be presented by Colonel Joe Morrow, the 59th Commander of the Watervliet Arsenal. Colonel Morrow has extensive background and spent a significant amount of time serving in Army divisions, including tours of combat. A career logistics officer, Colonel Morrow has served in command and leadership positions from platoon leader to Deputy J4. He also served as Chief of the Joint Logistics Operations Center at the European Command. Colonel Morrow has received numerous awards and decorations throughout his military career. As Mayor Mike Manning mentioned, Colonel will be relinquishing his command on July 24th at the Watervliet Arsenal. It'll be sorely missed. I present to you, and please welcome Colonel Joseph Morrow.
Good morning. So I'm going to be honest right up front. I've been to many events with Congressman Tonko over the last 22 months that I've been in command. Following him is tough. So thanks for continuously raising the bar on this. But I do want to first thank Mayor Manning, the City of Watervliet, any Gold Star members, family members that we might have in the audience. This truly is remarkable. Last year, if you remember, it was a little rainy, to say the least. The turnout was amazing. This year, the turnout again, absolutely amazing, and now we get to do this ceremony right afterwards, so I do greatly appreciate the invitation to actually get to speak. This is a different time and different day than most in my eyes. As a person that has been in combat multiple times, I will tell you that some of the things that I've seen in the past in Memorial Days do not gander maybe the remarks or the admiration of what this day really stands for. To me, it stands for sacrifice. Congressman Tonko actually outlined some of the beginning of this. I'm a big fan of history. In 1868 was the first Decorations Day. It was a day that was proclaimed to be the memorial for recognizing Union soldiers that actually fell in combat over the course of the Civil War. It really wasn't until World War I and World War II that the nation came together and called it Decorations Day and Memorial Day in the spirit on the 30th of May, and every May 30th that it went. It wasn't recognized by Congress or the United States to be a federal holiday until 1971, right in the middle, at the tail end height of Vietnam War. So this day, as we go along, has changed in many flavors, and some of you probably remember the flavors of this day and other times. But let me explain a little bit more. And it's been the sacrifice of individuals by giving, risking and giving their lives that has made this day the day that it is, at least in my view. This day has seen multiple wars go past, including back to the 1700s in the start of America, and shown that we have always cared for the ones that have sacrificed all and all the fallen. I will tell you that during the time that goes from Vietnam back to the World War I, this wall commemorates vast numbers of men and women that have sacrificed. I mentioned this last year as I walked around the memorial after the parade was over in the rain. I mentioned it to Congressman Tonka today. I've never seen more names from a community as small as yours on walls commemorating the sacrifices you've made as a family, a community family. This family includes mothers, daughters, sons, sisters, children, grandchildren, great-great-grandchildren, great-great-uncles, great-great-nephews that some of you will never ever get the chance to meet. That's what this symbolizes. 5,000 or a little bit more represent the names that you see behind me from all the wars that Watervliet has been encompassed with providing some of the best to serve and then sacrifice. What a great distinguishment that is for this community to stand by and recognize their achievements and their accomplishments for the freedom and liberties that we have today. It is by far one of the more convincing emblems of spirit in the United States that I've seen in my 26 years of experience. My wife and I were walking today in the memorial parade with our little dog, and I'm sure a lot of people saw the dog because everybody said puppy. That's usually how it happens. The dog gets all the attention. As we were walking, though, it was very amused to see the different generations that actually encompass the route. We were at a ceremony a couple years ago, a little bit different. It was in Luxembourg, at one of America's largest cemeteries outside of the United States. That cemetery holds 12,000 Americans from just World War II. And I will tell you, that was a great ceremony, lots of dignitaries speaking, but nothing like this. Nothing like being on home soil, and that where America and freedom run wild and great across the landscape that you guys are showing me today. What I cannot do, though, I cannot go by and not remiss some of the other unfortunate folks that are not here to celebrate the spirit of sacrifice and freedom like we are. Roughly 82,000 Americans are still missing in action. And that is a number that continuously goes down, as we know, in recent months, even here. But that number is still very large. There are people that have closure, and then there are people that don't have closure. And for those folks that do not have closure yet from those missing, let it be known that we as America always look, and we always experience to whatever painstaking event it requires to bring back our wounded and our missing and our killed in action. And that's what we do as Americans. So in closing, I want to thank you very much for inviting me here, Mayor Manning again, and the city and the community of Watervliet. I will tell you, this is a great moment in my time as a military officer, getting a chance to speak in front of you, no doubt, because you can see just in the view from generation to generation that's here, and at the pride that is instilled in everyone as you go forth on this day. This day is a lot of things, like we talked about, and I remember growing up, I knew what it was a little bit here and there, but here, let me explain one more thing. If there's anything you do today that is more than just a minute or so of silence, please just remember all the fallen that have sacrificed the greatness that is called the United States and the freedom of America. On a personal note, I am leaving. My wife and I are getting stationed in Seoul, Korea, as in the next big chapter in our event. I change out this summer. We have loved and enjoyed every part of Watervliet that we lived here in our 2 years, and we've met a lot of great people and a lot of friends. And the community spirit here in the Arsenal together, I feel is a great bond. So please continue on that as the 60th commander comes in, Colonel Bill Kelly, and show him what you've shown me over the last 2 years. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Colonel Morrow. And Susan Morrow, thank you very much for sharing your husband with the Watervliet community. Thank you, wherever you are. We appreciate your dedication and commitment as well. The Watervliet High School Band, under the direction of Terry Bradway, will now perform This Is My Country. She was a friend of Joe. She described him as a gentle giant. He often confided in Peg that she was happy to listen to his ideas and his thoughts about his future. Patrick Palmer and Joe were best friends in high school. Patrick said Joe reminded him of John Wayne, handsome and very confident. He was quiet, he had a good sense of humor, and he never sought attention. According to Pat, Joe was the kind of guy you wanted as a genuine friend. His favorite extracurricular activity was the drama club. He enjoyed participating in school plays. Joe was reserved, but Patrick recalled the time during a rehearsal when Joe was practicing his lines as Ebenezer Scrooge, the protagonist in Charles Dickens' play, A Christmas Carol. The button on Joe's trousers popped off and his pants dropped to his ankles. You could laugh. Not missing a beat, Joe, with incredible confidence, continued until he finished his lines, and then everyone at the school roared in laughter. In their senior year, Pat recognized Joe's patriotism. Not the flag-waving type, but a deep concern and care about the United States of America. Joe graduated and enlisted in the U.S. Army. His tour date, March 10th, 1966. And PFC Davie was assigned to the 1st Battalion, 28th Infantry, 1st Infantry Division of the U.S. Army in Vietnam. No more high school football, school plays, or appearances for the bright student on the TV show The Little Red Schoolhouse. Joe's chosen quote by Shakespeare for his high school yearbook was, and I quote, "What should a man do but be merry?" End of quote. And now that he was in the jungles of Vietnam, it seemed very peculiar and odd, his choice of that yearbook quote. Vietnam was a brutal war, and Joe was in the jungles of South Vietnam, Binh Dong Province. On September 22nd, 1966, at approximately 11:30 a.m., 3 infantrymen and a medic from the 1st Battalion, 28th Infantry, were killed in a landmine incident. The casualty list included PFC Joe Davey. He was killed 6 months after his enlistment and 3 days after his 20th birthday. And that is war. Lieutenant Colonel Joe Waldron, USMC, wrote a tribute to PFC Davey in the Vietnam Veterans Memorial Site. And I quote, "So many years, Joe. I did 28 years in the Marine Corps, have a loving wife and 2 sons, something you were denied. You live in my heart," end of quote. And that is war. And remember Patrick Palmer, Joe's friend, his close high school friend. Patrick said he rarely cried, if ever. But when he traveled to Washington, D.C. and visited the Vietnam Memorial, he found PFC Joseph Nicholas Davey, Panel 10E, line 131, his pal, the Gentle Giant, and Patrick Palmer cried. Private First Class Davey was one of 4 Watervliet High School students killed in Vietnam.
And joining us now is our beloved mayor of the city of Watervliet and Navy veteran, Mayor Mike Manning. Mayor, happy Memorial Day.
Same to you. Thanks for having me on again.
Now, this is a day of remembrance for those who paid the ultimate price. Your thoughts?
Yes. This is my thoughts, I'm regrouping. As you go from youth to adulthood, it changes from a day off from school and, a day to not have to work or something like that to now really thinking what it's about and coming here, year after year, seeing the turnout and hearing the talks of people who have served and died. You just have to think, if you were in that same position, if you could have done what they did for us. So,
Right. Now, there's definitely a lot of enthusiasm here today. What do you think should be uppermost in people's minds as we celebrate this day of remembering our nation's heroes?
Yeah, we had a great turnout again and a great participation and the enthusiasm high. And I guess the advice is at some point during the day to channel the enthusiasm and take a moment of silence to remember those who gave their lives for our country so that we can be having this celebration today.
Now, the banners of our vets that line our city streets are a wonderful tribute to our loved ones, reminding us of the sacrifice that they made and reminding us that freedom isn't free.
That's right. Well, it reminds us of the sacrifices. It reminds us also of how supportive the community is of those who've served the country. It's the neatest thing, and it's almost a driving distraction because you want to get a look at these banners. So I often walk the street so I can get a good look at the banners and the faces. And as generations change, a lot of the faces on the banners of older family members look just like the person that you went to high school with, and it's amazing the resemblance. And to have our Deputy Grand Marshals up here front and center in the park, it's just a great way to pay a tribute to them. And as Colonel Morrow suggested, he's been all over the world, and the support in Watervliet and the number of names on this wall, he hasn't seen anything like it. So we have to be proud to be in or from Watervliet.
Absolutely. What message do you have for our viewers today?
Enjoy the day, be safe, and remember the theme of the day, which is those who served our country and gave their lives for us. So sometimes it gets lost in the celebration, but we've got maybe not the best weather today to go out and do a lot, so maybe it's a good day to sit and reflect on why we're able to do the things we're able to do day in and day out.
Mayor Mike Manning, happy Memorial Day.
Thanks, Mayor Joe, and happy Memorial Day to everyone out there.
And now Watervliet's Memorial Day Parade has taken us down to Watervliet VFW Post 729, where we are joined with our wonderful Grand Marshal, Joe Michasiow. Joe, congratulations.
Thank you.
What a wonderful day, what a wonderful parade, and wow, what a great Grand Marshal. How you doing?
Well, I'm doing okay at the moment, as it was a very humbling experience, unexpected accolades or whatever. I'm really impressed with the people and the turnout, and I'm honored, really honored to have such a position or a post for the day.
Right. What does it feel like leading the Memorial Day Parade?
It was different. It was like you're in the spotlight a little bit, and it was fun waving to people. I've been in Watervliet my whole life, and I could see a lot of people I didn't recognize, or very few I did recognize, I should say. But it was a pleasure, and like I say, an honor, and a one-time experience.
Right, and the children, as it was said before, the generations of all ages that came out to see, the thousands of people.
The little one, the youngsters, they love to be recognized. I'm surprised that they could respond so quickly with a wave, just a little eye contact, and they wave right back. It was nice.
Now, Joe, after graduating from LaSalle Institute in Troy, you enlisted in the Marine Corps, attended boot camp at Parris Island, stationed in Okinawa, Vietnam. Would you share some of your memories with us?
Well, I put just about 4 years in the Marine Corps, and you went over it pretty quick, but Parris Island is where you go to boot camp, and then I ended up actually in the 2nd Tank Battalion, the 2nd Marine Division at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina in 1960. And from there, right around, I think it was maybe 1961, was temporary additional duty to Little Creek, Virginia, where we trained reservists, or trained with reservists for these landings. And then after that, I think it was sometime in 1962. First off, I did join the Marine Corps to travel. The first few years were a little slow, but I did do what they call a med cruise. It was 6 months in the Mediterranean with they referred to as the Fleet Marine Force, and it's like a force in residence there. And actually, I was 6 months on a ship they called the LSD-6. It was Lindenwall, and again, we made the landings and trained and hit all the ports there in the Mediterranean. And then it was, I think, October of 1962, after we got back from that 6 months cruise, the whole platoon. That was when everybody was headed for Cuba, actually. It was around that time, and I had asked for a transfer to the 3rd Marine Division in Okinawa, which I got at the same time that this was happening, this getting ready for the Cuban thing. But I was lucky enough that the first sergeant gave me my orders, which didn't take effect for like 3 days from that time, and he gave me a Liberty card and said, try not to get in trouble for 3 days, and I came home and everybody went to Cuba. And then I ended up going to Okinawa after that. Actually, I had a 30-day leave. And on Okinawa, again, it was my military occupational skill. It was a tank crewman, which is 1811. And I'm trying to think, well, on Okinawa, well, I always wanted to go to armorer school. And I requested to go to that school, and at the time, the first sergeant said that they're all filled up. You got two choices: either NCO, leadership, or atomic, biological, and chemical warfare. I said, well, I don't want to do that. Well, you're going to take one or the other because you volunteered. Now you're going. I said, okay. I went to NCO leadership, and then I'm trying to remember. They asked after that school, I came back again. Now they wanted looking for volunteers actually to go to Vietnam, which I never heard of or even couldn't spell at the time. And I asked if, seeing the formation, you can ask a question to your platoon sergeant, and then he refers it to the first sergeant. And when I asked what was going on over there, they said they're fighting a war. I said, nah, I don't believe that. But I did volunteer. In that period of time went by, I actually forgot about it. And in the morning when we had the formation, the first sergeant says, mentioned my name, Lance Corporal Michasiow, you're going to counterinsurgency school. Whatever. I said, I didn't volunteer for that. What's that? He says, no, you volunteered to go to Vietnam. Now you're going to go to that school. So I did go to like a jungle warfare thing. I forget how long. It wasn't very long, maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And I ended up in Da Nang in Vietnam, right at the airfield. And it was guard duty, amongst other things, trained for search and rescue. But it was interesting. It was unfortunate. I was only there about 4 months. And President Kennedy was assassinated when I was there. Everybody remembers where they were, I think, when the president was assassinated. And President Johnson changed the rules. They didn't. They could bring in people with an infantry MOS, you might say, occupational skill infantry, the real Marines, and that was it. I actually transferred back to Okinawa, and because I only had a few months to do, I was able to get an early discharge, and I ended up at Treasure Island in California, and that's where I was mustered out, as they say, mustered out. And it was quite an experience, the travel and everything, and I would recommend it. Give it a try. It's not for everybody, the military, but at the time there was the draft, which was really not a reason for joining, but it was one thing or another, and I just decided to join the Marine Corps. And there was times when I regretted it, especially in boot camp. And, but other than that, it was very interesting, and it's amazing how you can. I can see where college would influence people with their thought process, because it's the people that you're with or the people that are teaching you, and that's what you. That's how you kind of turn to be. So. But I don't want to get into the politics. So.
Now, you enlisted at a very early age. Would you do it again?
18? Well, yes, I would do it again with the mentality I had. And I don't know about the Marine Corps, but yes, no, I would do it again. Yeah.
What are your personal feelings on today?
I mean, as far as the military? Or
Memorial Day.
Oh, Memorial Day. It goes by so fast, and there's so much to be grateful for, and so many people that I feel as if I owe. So, I don't know if I answered your question or not, but
What message, Joe, do you have for people watching today?
Vote. And I think to communicate is the best thing. Instead of forming an opinion and being hard-nosed about it, I think communication openly, and it's not for everybody. Different people have different personalities, but communication is the big thing. If you can talk, and I'm leaning towards working things out if you have the problem. But
what message do you have for our veterans today?
Thank you. There's more to it than that. I'm humbled that my service was minimal, and I feel like I actually benefited a lot. And maybe a little overkill even, and I'm very grateful.
Grand Marshal of the Watervliet Memorial Day Parade, Joe Michasiow, thank you so much, and thank you for your service to our country.
Thank you. It was quite a surprise. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Maya, and I'm going to read a poem that's called On This Memorial Day by Emily Toma. Remember those who served before. Remember those who are no more. Remember those who serve today. Remember them as we eat and play. Remember our protectors who are now at home today. Remember them all on Memorial Day.
Hi, my name is Sean, and I'm going to be reading a poem called In the Flanders Fields by John McCrae. In the Flanders field the poppies blow, between the crosses row on row, that mark our place, and in the sky, that larks still bravely singing fly. Scarce heard aim the guns below, we are the dead, short days ago. We lived, felt dawn, saw sunset glow, loved and were loved, now we lie in Flanders fields. Take up our quarrel with the foe, to you from failing hands we threw this torch, be yours to hold it high. If ye break faith with us who die, we shall not sleep through poppies grow in Flanders fields.
Hi, my name is Grady, and I am reading a poem by Charles M. Province. It is the soldier, not the reporter, who has given us freedom of the press. It is the soldier, not the poet, who has given us freedom of speech. It is the soldier, not the campus organizer, who has given us the freedom to demonstrate. It is the soldier, not the lawyer, who has given us the right to a fair trial. And it is the soldier who salutes the flag, who serves the flag, and whose coffin is draped by the flag, who allows the proposer to burn the flag. My name is Grady, and happy Memorial Day.
More than 1 million American servicemen and women died in the wars and conflicts this nation fought since the first colonial soldiers took up arms in 1775 to fight for independence. Each person who died during those conflicts was a loved one, cherished by family and friends. Each was a loss to their community and nation. This station, WVLT, runs the largest known tribute to our veterans by airing over 1,700 photos of our servicemen and women. And we here at WVLT are proud and honored to salute and memorialize our veterans. I'm Mary Jo Hughes. Happy Memorial Day.